belt, you know, if they're going to put that belt on you, you better be able to work your ass off and put on a good match. And, you know, I've been a lot of times that they're going to groom you to carry that world title, but I go to the IC belt as being my favorite.
Is there any belt you won't sign?
I'll sign any belt that somebody's got because, you know, it's not for me to pick. And I love them all. And I've signed all the NWO stuff, all the competitive stuff. Those guys are my friends. If it's a belt that you want to sign, I don't give a rat's ass. I'll sign it.
Hell yeah. Which leads perfectly into my next thing. What is the strangest thing? We've seen some strange people. What is the strangest thing you've been given or asked to sign?
Man, all kinds of objects. You know, sometimes, you know what I hate signing is effing baseballs. I'm glad I'm not a pitcher in Major League because they got to sign all those baseballs and they're the hardest things to sign. So I remember back in the day we used to, when I was really, really hot and coming on as Stone Cold, I would sign people's either breasts or back or arm.
Yeah.
They would get that, you know, tattooed on them. So I wouldn't say that was strange. I was just like, I met a kid the other day. I was shopping for some clothes to come out here, and he had a Stone Cold tattoo on his forearm. And I said, brother, he was only about 20 years old. I said, brother, where'd you get that tattoo? He goes, about a year ago. And I said, well, hey, I appreciate that because it took some time and effort to think about that and getting my stuff, you know, that skull tattooed on your forearm is a statement and a commitment, so you don't take it lightly. But back in the day when we used to leave the buildings, you know those tramp stamp tattoos? Man, there used to be so many women that would walk out that show and they'd wear the midriff shirts kind of high up on their back, and you see that smoking skull tattoo or Austin 316, and I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people have been bringing in, I wanted to get into this, I was going to do it later, but let's just do it. People bringing you cat treats, I've seen cat shirts. One guy thanked him like almost teary-eyed going, man, thanks for making it cool for men to have cats, which I'm not even sure if that's true. How do you feel about it? You're making it cool for men to have cats.
Hey, if you're a guy and you're as tough as I am, it's cool to have a cat, god dang it. And if you got a mouse or a gerbil or a bunny rabbit, that's cool as well. I'm a dog guy, traditionally. I've got a black lab and a silver lab, Mula and Callie. And then our cat died when we bought the house that we live in now, and so we had to get a couple more. And so we got Poncho, and he had a brother, and so we named him Poncho and Lefty. Lefty died, we got another Lefty. Lefty died. And so then comes Macho. We got this little orange cat, and my wife says, well, what are we going to name him? And with a name like Poncho, you got to follow it up with something good. I said, hell, Randy Savage. We're going to call that cat Macho. So I love those cats. They're thick as thieves, and I don't know why people love those cats so much, but I guess it's because they're some solid-ass cats, and they got some charisma, but people love them, and I do too.
I've seen more merch of your cats today than a lot of the current wrestlers on the card.
Well, the cats are more over than I am on IG, so I'll post a picture of myself and people say, okay, where's Poncho and Poncho at? So they're kind of a thing right now.
Well, that's one thing that's cool about you is you're a cat guy, but you're also a dog guy. You're a beer guy, but you're a wine guy. You're a cool enough man that you make everything cool. So, along with drinking, I don't know if this has ever been asked of you, what did you do for your 21st birthday?
Man, that's so long ago, I can't remember, Jeff. I mean, but, you know, the 21st, it wasn't really significant for anything for me because back in the day, I think what legal drinking age was probably 18. So, but I remember when I used to run track and head to high school, I threw the discus and I threw the shot put. I was pretty jacked up for a kid. And so we ride the school bus to the track meet, and my buddy drove a Ford Thunderbird, about a 76 model. And so I would always ride home with my buddy. And so we'd always go to the 7-Eleven and try to score some beer. Now we weren't legal drinking age, so I'd walk in with my chest all out like that. And if I didn't get carded, and I was 16 years old, 16, 17, that wasn't legal or 12 packs, and we drink that beer.
One large alcohol, please.
Good times.
I love that. So, you're making wine cool, you're making cats cool, you're making beer cool, you're making all these things cool. Do you think you could make karaoke cool?
Man, I can't sing to save my life, and I tell everybody, that was my first dream in life. I want to be a freaking rock star. Couldn't carry a tune in a bucket. My dad played guitar, he tried to teach me, I didn't practice enough. And anyway, so music didn't turn out for me, so professional wrestling was my next endeavor. So back in the day, we used to go to Japan, and we'd be over there for about 2 or 3 weeks on a tour. And all the guys would say, God dang, get up there and go sing a song. And I said, man, I cannot sing. Finally, I was wasted, and they talked me into going up there. And when I got up there, they couldn't get me off that stage. And I drove about half the crowd out of that freaking place because I sucked.
Is that your go-to? He said Margaritaville. Is that your go-to?
Hey man, hey, there's a couple times, singing on Monday Night Raw with The Rock.
Yeah.
And singing Jimmy Buffett. That was always fun. I remember one time I was doing the national anthem, I think with Lillian, and then she stopped singing because I was so off key. And when she stopped, I was like, okay, we're on live TV, and she's ribbing me. But I was so off key, I messed her up. But I always enjoyed singing with Lillian.
I love it. Are you sick of taking photos and signing autographs at any point ever?
Like I said, man, when you go down the road and you do the work that you do when you're a professional wrestler, it's a blessing that people remember what you did 21, 22, 20, 30 years later, so I'm always happy to.
I love that. So then that's my question. What was your first autograph? Not the first time you signed it. What was the first autograph you asked someone for?
There was the world yo-yo champion came to Edmond, Texas, and his name was Bunny Martin. You can look it up. And so Bunny Martin was my first autograph that I ever got. The world yo-yo champion. Random as hell, but that's the truth.
Hey, I was paranoid I wasn't going to be able to ask a question that's already been answered. I think that might be it. Yo-yo champion. All right, I love it. What is the most recent thing that Stone Cold Steve Austin has learned?
I learned that Hall of Fame ought to be a little bit shorter than what it was. And it ought to start about 3 or 4 hours sooner. I got to bed about 3:15. I call it 3:16 last night. I came home, when I live in Nevada, I'm a hermit. I see my wife, and I spend a lot of time in the desert, so I don't hang out with a whole lot of people. So once I've been hanging around a whole lot of people, I kind of got to decompress and do my own thing. So I drank a beer and I had a little bit of a bottle of wine left. I chilled out, and finally I went to sleep. But when that alarm clock went off, I was red-eyed and grumpy. I said, man, what the hell?
Yeah, I got to buy Visine with Stone Cold Steve Austin this morning.
Yeah, we went to the gimmick shop. The one thing I didn't bring was Visine, and I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to be a long Hall of Fame. But yeah, so Visine was badly needed. Visine 316 says, I just cleared your eyes out.
One thing I like about successful men like yourself is they always have this interest that you're surprised to hear about, right? You want to talk to Terry Bradshaw, don't talk to him about football, talk to him about horses. You want to hang out with Mickey Mantle, don't talk about baseball, talk about drinking. You are so into racing. Has this been your whole life, or is this a new chapter, or talk to me about the race team? I just was with them for a while. It's very interesting. I know nothing about it.
So we was filming a show a couple of years ago. The show turned out like shit. So anyway, but I got a chance to do a poker run and run with these guys. If you notice over here, there's an 18-wheeler that says Kawasaki on it. That's a race team that I race with. And so I got out there and I ran a poker run with those guys. And they called me back. They called me up a few months later and they said, hey, would you really like to race? And I said, well, hell yeah, sounds like fun. So I started racing about 3 years ago, and I've been working with Kawasaki Motorsports for 10 years as a brand ambassador. So I'm very competitive. I remember my first matches when I first started out in wrestling. I sucked. When I first started racing, I sucked. I'm getting better. My teammate is an excellent driver. And so I'll try to, learn from him, but it's getting the reps in anything you do in life. So racing is my new passion, and I'm late to the game, but I'll do it until I can't do it no more.
They said you're actually very good now.
I'm not gonna blow any smoke up my ass, but I'm very competitive.
And you won a championship.
I study and I go out in the desert and I drive. I drive by myself, and all my buddies have regular jobs. I don't have a normal job. I never have. So when I break down out there, man, I spend a lot of miles humping it in the desert, walking back to my freaking, make a repair on my buggy, just get back in the trailer so I can, get back to town. And it pisses my wife off. She says, are you going out by yourself again? And I say, yeah, but I'm only going to drive 50%. Hey man, when you start that buggy up, put your helmet on, you're going 100%, and that's where, things are bound to go wrong. But that's my latest passion, and I just have so much fun with it. It brings me a lot of joy.
It looks fun. It looks scary as hell. He was explaining how to drive it and how to navigate, and it sounded...
Hey, well, yeah, I got my co-driver. He owns the team, and he's calling out turns to me. We have a numbering system about how sharp the turn is. And then, like if you're getting up on somebody, we've got a siren in our car, and that lets them know, hey man, get out of the way, we're coming through.
Yeah, so, you're in his dust, right?
And you're driving through the dust and you can't see anything. And if that person doesn't get out of the way, you got to ram them in the back to get them out of the way. Hey buddy, we're back here, you need to let us through. We was in a race, last race we were in, some guy just nailed the shit out of me. Damn near knocked us off in about a 20-foot ravine. And it was serious, but hey, that's racing. It goes with the territory. It's fun as hell to do, and it's a challenge.
We know about all the things you've accomplished in pro wrestling, as far as I'm going to assume most of you guys know that already. We know that you won a championship in racing, which is awesome. What is the strangest or coolest or weirdest thing you've ever won that we might not know? Yo-yo?
Nah, we were the damn it, yo-yo. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. Anything that I've won that people
anything
don't
on like they got these trophies now for everything. They got I don't know. I just thought maybe there'd be something weird.
No, nothing weird.
That's the weirdest, a world championship, right? Wrestlers keep coming up to you. I've gotten to witness it all morning. It's been very fun to watch a guy I want to go say hi to, and he just shuffles right by me to say hi to Stone Cold, and it's kind of this nice little moment happening. Who is someone that you saw when you were in wrestling, and whether you were very successful or not, that you're like, I want to help this person, I want to push this person? Who are some of the people we don't know that you were like, I kind of knew ahead of time, or I like this wrestler and I want to help him?
Really, anybody and everybody. I didn't really single anybody out. God dang, what was that guy? Ken Anderson, 100 years ago. Ken Anderson came through WWE. I really wanted to help him out. Of course, when I met Kevin Owens in the airport years ago, I gave him some advice. I wish him all the luck in the world with his, he's got a neck issue. I'm very familiar with that, so hopefully he can get that resolved, because he's awesome in the ring, and he's a future Hall of Famer, and I wish him all the best.
Love that. Give it up for KO! Whenever you do anything successful, and I'll speak for myself, I wish those fuckers from school could see me now. Is there anybody that you went to school with, or junior high, or any of these things? How do they treat you like now? Now that you're stone cold, do they all pretend they were friends with you back then?
When I go back home, I don't see too many people that I grew up with. Everybody's moved away or whatever. So I don't know. It's been a long time since I got out, so everybody knows what I've done. But I was always happy that after Eric Bischoff fired me from WCW, anytime I see Eric, and Eric and I are friends, but anytime I see Eric, it's kind of a, he said I wasn't marketable. And so every time I sold a t-shirt or we had a packed arena when I turned into Stone Cold, it was kind of like, hey man, you didn't believe in me. I believed in myself, and it ended up working.
Love that. You mentioned Kevin Owens. I was fishing for some sort of names we didn't know. What about Penta?
Yeah, I like what Penta's doing. Man, he's been around for a minute. He can work his ass off. He's exciting. I love the gimmick. They got to light a fire under his ass and keep pushing him. He had a great introduction, but they got to keep the coal on him and keep pushing him. So hopefully they don't back off and they let him do what he can, because there's a mystique about him. There's a charisma about him, and I think he's really fun to watch.
I think it's incredible. Sean told me you recognized his talent back in 2017. I feel like everyone recognizes it the second they see him. He's great. All right, here's a weird one. Wrestlers are always traveling, especially before before you really pop. You got to be in airports and hotels all the time. Where's the weirdest place you've ever slept?
Man, just on the floor somewhere in an airport. We back in the day when we're traveling up down the road, or you miss a flight, you'd have 3 or 4 guys in a hotel room, trying to save money. You'd have guys crammed in cars trying to save money. But the same thing. When I used to travel with Kevin Nash, it was like we were trying to rid ourselves. We purposely looked for the worst shit boxes we could find. It was almost like it was a rip. So we stayed at $13 hotels back in the day. If you shut the door, there was it didn't seal up. You could still see the outside. So we looked for those, and I've stayed in a bunch of shitty hotels.
I love it. This could be, or couldn't be, a wrestling question. Is there anyone in your life you owe an apology to?
Man, I'm sure I've pissed off a lot of people in my life, and I ain't gonna apologize. It just was what it was.
That's a great Stone Cold answer right there. What a career you've had. You're literally my favorite wrestler, but also the most one I'd argue on the Mount Rushmore of wrestling. For you, when you go to sleep at night, in your life, what is the most sacred moment you have? And that doesn't have to be wrestling either.
Explain that again.
Your most sacred moment in life.
Man, I don't know that there is one. I don't know how I would describe my most sacred moment.
All right.
Yeah.
My bad, guys.
No, I'm just too dumb to answer the question.
Some people would say, oh, that when my child was born or when I was whatever, I don't know. What is your most embarrassing moment?
Probably my most embarrassing moment in wrestling was when we was over there in South Africa, and I shit myself when Yokozuna slammed me. And I told him, I said, Yo, let's go home. And he goes, okay, bro. And we went home. So, that was because of a nightmare change. So that would probably be about the most embarrassing.
Shit yourself's gotta be up there. Yeah, that's gotta be the top.
Yeah, it's top 3 anyway.
What city, I know you didn't want me to be, I'm trying to be very selective. You didn't want to be mean to any wrestlers or anything. So what is a city that you never want to go back to? Shoot on a city, Steve. They're picking their favorites out there. He said Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Pittsburgh is tough. Melbourne Arena used to be tough, but goddamn, what else is? Penn State. Where's Penn State at? Where's Penn State at? The town in Penn State University. Whatever the town that is, man, that's a hard town to get around in. So I don't like wrestling there.
All right, Penn State area. All right, here we go. When did you realize, or maybe think to yourself, that you've made it, that you're like, this is it? Is there moments that you can think of when you go, oh, this, I'm very grateful, this is it, I've made it?
I was always, like I've talked in the past, I'm a big fan of Chicago. They treated me well over there.
Nice.
And for some reason, one time we was over in a tag match. It was myself, Mark Merrow, Undertaker, and another guy. And every time I stepped in the ring, that crowd would come alive. And I was like, God dang, I must be doing something right because Chicago's a tough crowd. If you can get over in Chicago, you know, it's kind of like the Garden, you can get over anywhere. So I really got a sense that I was doing something because when I first came into WWE, you know, I came in as a ringmaster. You got a shit gimmick, you don't know what it is, you don't know who you are, so you don't know what to do because you don't have any basis of which to form decisions on. When I turned into Stone Cold, that gave me that base, and then finally you're trying so hard to get a reaction out of you people, and the people are just sitting there looking at you like, okay, what's next? When you start getting that feedback that you're looking for, that means something to you. And Chicago was the first time that I ever started feeling that from a crowd. And it's very, very real, and it gives you confidence. And if you don't have confidence, you don't have anything.
Love that. Is there any idea or gimmick or story that you never got to really do? Because once you found the Stone Cold voice, then that's it. I mean, you're not trying anything out. Is there anything you ever thought you would have wanted to do if you weren't the Stone Cold Steve Austin?
Not really, yeah.
What is, oh, here's a good one. Who in your life has ever made you nervous?
I don't know, man. Ric Flair, probably. I was down at WCW, and I was a huge fan of Ric Flair. And I kind of modeled my early part of my career after Ric Flair. And, you know, when you're in the ring and you're young as I was, you're thinking, oh, shit, I'm going to overtake this guy. He's starting to get a little bit old. I'm going to take him. And then all of a sudden, you're working a six-man tag with him, and you're watching the man up close in person. And you're on the apron of the ring, and Flair's out there being Flair. And he's my personal GOAT. So trying to live up to what Flair was, and obviously, you know, my career turned like it did. I turned into a brawler. But trying to keep up with Ric Flair, because to watch his work was amazing. To me, he's the greatest to ever do it.
Love that. Give it up for Ric Flair, huh? Woo! This is, you're a music guy. You don't sing, but you like music, like everybody. We like music. What is the greatest concert you've been to, and how did they treat you?
You know, I don't go to a whole lot of concerts. I saw, you know, Motley Crue and Ozzy a couple of times. But
Excuse me.
I saw George Strait at the Cowboy Rides Away tour a couple of years ago at AT&T Stadium. And you had 100-some-odd thousand people there to see the King. And everybody was laughing, smiling, singing, and dancing. The women loved George Strait. The guys love him too, just because he's the coolest little kid guy in the world. I've seen him several times throughout my years. My doctor in Texas is his doctor, so there's a mutual connection there. So I don't know him real well, but George Strait.
That's great. Well, I mean, do you message him like, hey, can I come to the show, or do you guys just buy tickets and show up?
No, he takes care of us.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I had to set up a lot of tickets for Wrestlemania. And, man, you talk about a pain in the ass. Setting up tickets sucks. So I hope everybody I set up tickets for makes it in, because at this point, I'm unreachable because I'm very, very busy.
I love it. All right. What is the most upset you've ever made an audience member?
Man, I tell you what, when I was a heel, man, I talked so much trash. On a rib, when I was a heel and I was working Triple H over there in the New Hampshire area or whatever, this is kind of on a different note, but Paul's parents would always sit on the front row, And so I'd always take Triple H over there and I'd beat his ass up right in front of him. I'd pick him up and drop his throat on the guardrail, and I'd put my foot on his chest. All the time I was talking trash to his mother and father. And that was a lot of fun. And you know, they kind of pissed him off a little bit, but they knew what was up.
Well, it's also great to be doing your job so well that you're pissing people off. Like, that's the only job I think you can do that. But everyone hated you. Good work. I mean, that's perfect. All right. What is the craziest thing, this might be a bad question by me, that you've ever done for money?
Nothing. What's that?
It's at WrestleMania 17.
What was 17? That was a rock. Yeah. No, nothing.
Nothing?
Yeah, nothing.
All right, here we go. This I like to ask a lot of rich guys. What's the biggest bar tab you've ever had? Because you're a drinker.
Man, we run one time I was hanging out with Zach Wild from Black Label Society, and we went to some joint right there on the Riverwalk in San Antonio. It was like a Joe's Crab Shack or something. I don't remember what it was. There was a deer head on the wall with a couple of, small antlers. And before the night was over, we caught the deer's head on fire. The total tab getting out the door was a couple of grand. I thought we was all going to jail. I had to catch a ride home. It was a brutal night, and it cost us dearly.
Yeah. Well, maybe tonight we'll set the record. All right. We know, as a lot of the wrestlers say, new year, new knee. You know, you got a new knee. We know about the next stuff. What is the greatest physical pain you've ever been in?
I don't know about the greatest physical pain, but I just remember when I got dropped on my head at the Meadowlands. God damn, it scared the hell out of me because I didn't think I was ever going to move again. And it hurt, but I remained calm because I needed to finish the match. But I would say that's probably what scared the hell out of me the most.
Yeah. Is there anything you could tell wrestlers? I heard you give some advice to a wrestler back there. I'm not going to spoil it or anything, or reveal it. What advice do you tell wrestlers about it? Because it's going to catch up to you, the pain and the stiffness. What do you tell wrestlers?
Hey man, pick your spots. I remember when I first started in Dallas, Texas, a lot of the veterans would come up to us and tell us, hey man, you only got so many bumps on your bump card, and you take care of your body. And when you listen to them, you're 24 years old and you're bulletproof, and so you think, yes, I got to get to where I'm going, so I got to do everything I can do. I wish someone would have just shook me a little bit harder and said, dude, take care of yourself. So I should have taken better care of myself, just because that's what I tell the kids these days. Watch everybody work, watch the people that are really good, and listen to the crowd, and learn psychologically what's working, but take care of your body, because the body's how you make it your living, and you gotta take care of everybody else. Why is there so much damn noise?
No idea.
Can y'all hear us?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, good. We're still good. Is there? You don't seem like a Hollywood guy, which is what we love about you. But what's the greatest party you've ever been to?
I can't say, man. I haven't been to a lot of parties. I kind of, everybody in the wrestling world knows it. I run by myself. I don't go out much. We've had some, back in the day on the road, we stayed at a Motel 6 in Toronto, and there was a jukebox there and a pool table. Are they talking to us on this please wrap up or what?
What's that?
Are they talking to us with that please wrap up?
I don't know if that's
Is that for us or not?
I don't know. I looked at this clock.
Okay, copy. No, it's a wildest party. I'm not a party guy, dude.
All right, let's talk about you did the show with Stephanie. What is the show? It's not out yet, right? Your episode isn't out yet.
Yeah, it just played the other day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Stephanie's got a new show out, and she asked me to be on it. And she came out, and I got a chance to take her in my race car, which is over there. And I'll give you something that nobody knows about. We were out there running in the desert, and I actually broke my transmission while we were filming that, and the oil was pouring
Wrestlemania this year? Any chance that we're ever going to see you at another Wrestlemania?
Yeah, I'll be at another WrestleMania, and I'm going to be there tomorrow tonight, because we're going to call out as the new members of the Hall of Fame. So I'll be there for that. Sunday I'll be watching the show. I'm not expecting to go out and, do this, that, or whatever. I want to watch some matches and let them unfold the way they're going to unfold. I'm coming off a knee replacement 4 months ago. The knee's doing good. I'm out of pain, but it's still, it's not 100% by any stretch. These things take about a year to heal up. So I'm not even able to run, and I don't know that I can even execute a stunner. So I'm here to watch. I'm here to just hope that everybody has a great match, and hope that the crowd's into them. That they've built up enough heat, enough interest, they work hard, and the people grab hold of the match and enjoy what they do. I'm here. I've been wrestling my whole life, but I'm here as a fan.
I love that. So you won't be coming out tonight. If you guys have time, a good time with Stone Cold, give me a hell yeah! Would you like to do more of these?
No, you just got to find out where to do them.
People can't get enough of you. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for being here. You guys, thank you for coming out. We love you guys. Thanks for having us.
Hey, thank you guys for coming out. I know people, a lot of people here are local in the United States. I got a chance to shake a lot of people's hands, and people get all over the world. And so this is such a cool damn deal. It's a couple of days here. It's a lot of work, and just the fact that you people love the product so much, or love WWE, love wrestling. I appreciate it, because it's how I made my living. Working inside a 20 by 20 square circle, and to see everybody come here and having a great time it gives me great satisfaction, and I hope that we can all, as a company, WWE, give you the experience that you're coming here for. So it sounds like a cliche when someone keeps saying they love you, but I fucking love you.